runaway bride rumors, a backup wedding gown, and a $70 million tab. Here's what Albert and Charlene's big 3-day wedding celebration was really like. The royal family in Monaco might not be as famous as other royals around the world, but one family matriarch was a classic Hollywood icon. In 1956, Grace Kelly went from being a Tinseltown starlet to a legitimate princess when she married Prince Rainier. Prior to Prince Albert and Princess Charlene's wedding, this was the most recent royal wedding to take place in Monaco. Grace and Rainier hosted 600 guests at their wedding, including actor Ava Gardner and famed hotel mogul Conrad Hilton. Prince Rainier and Grace Kelly's ceremony took place at the St. Nicholas Cathedral in Monaco. Grace stunned in a custom gown that was gifted to her by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, aka MGM, the studio that she was contracted with at the time. Grace and Rainier rode down the streets of Monaco after their wedding in a Rolls-Royce convertible, and the night was capped off with fireworks. Despite the glamorous pairing, some wondered whether Grace was truly happy, as Barbara Walters recalled of her exclusive interview with the princess.
I said, "Are you happy?" And she said, "I have a certain peace of mind."
Grace Kelly wasn't the only bride whose true feelings were in question. Prior to Prince Albert and Charlene's wedding, reports alleged that Charlene nearly fled Monaco multiple times. Ahead of their wedding, Charlene was reportedly questioning whether Albert was faithful to her during their relationship, which almost caused her to leave him. Over 10 years later, Charlene addressed the rumors, telling People, "And then the rumors started. They said I was running away. Where was I running to? The dark side of the moon? I think it's impossible, though, for someone on the outside to understand how awful, how much pressure there was for both of us. Enormous. You wouldn't believe it." Charlene and Prince Albert's 3-day-long wedding celebration began on June 30th, 2011, with a rock concert featuring the Eagles at Stade Louis. The following day, the ceremonies began. On Friday, July 1st, 2011, the couple married in a civil ceremony that took place in the throne room at the Prince's Palace of Monaco, the same room where Prince Albert's parents held their own wedding ceremony. It was during this ceremony that Charlene officially became a princess. The next day, on Saturday, July 2nd, Prince Albert and Charlene participated in a religious ceremony. The two exchanged vows once again for the public in an outdoor Catholic service, since the cathedral was not big enough to hold their many guests. As Prince Albert later recalled to People, "I was worried how things were going to turn out, the sequence of events. I wasn't very relaxed. I think it turned out okay, but it was just so many things to think of." Prince Albert and Charlene hosted 800 guests at their wedding, including family, friends, royals from other countries, and celebrities. In addition to the invited guests, there were about 150,000 devoted fans who lined the streets of Monaco to see the royal couple. For reference, just over 33,000 people lived in Monaco in 2011. Prince Albert shared with People, "This was an enormous affair, probably even bigger than I ever thought. It was nice in many ways. I was glad to share the moment with a lot of people from Monaco." Some of the most famous guests in attendance included former James Bond actor Sir Roger Moore, designer Roberto Cavalli, model Naomi Campbell, and late fashion designer Karl Lagerfeld. Still, despite the flashy, highly publicized religious ceremony, it seems the couple preferred a more intimate setting. Charlene recalled, "The civil wedding was more emotional because it was more intimate, there were fewer of us, and then we were all together."
It was unforgettable.
Princess Charlene donned multiple stunning looks throughout her wedding weekend. For Friday's civil ceremony, Charlene wore a blue blazer and a chiffon skirt designed by Karl Lagerfeld. Charlene recalled to Vogue, "We wanted something to match the color of my eyes. It's feminine and keeps with tradition, yet has a little twist that reflects my personal style." Charlene's bridesmaids wore traditional dresses of Monaco in honor of the different districts of the principality, but Charlene's wedding gown was the talk of the globe that weekend. Designed by Giorgio Armani, the ivory dress took 2,500 hours to sew. Bedazzled with 40,000 Swarovski crystals and 20,000 pearls, the gown also featured a 5-meter-long train, which was paired with a 66-foot-long veil. Roberta Armani recalled, "It was such a huge responsibility that we actually made 2 dresses just in case something happened to one of them." Charlene changed into a second Armani gown for the reception. The princess recalled, "The wedding dress is pretty heavy, so I wanted to change into something light, soft, and easy to move in for the evening." While there were several hundred guests invited to the ceremony, Prince Albert and Charlene hosted about 6,000 guests at their reception later that evening. Although the cocktail hour and dinner only had a guest list of about 650, the royal couple got the party started with a 5-tier wedding cake featuring 110 pounds of strawberries. Planning for this event took a small village, and not everyone agreed on the details. Prince Albert's sister, Princess Caroline, recalled to People, "There were huge arguments, not between us, but with everybody, everything, from the shape of the wedding cake to those people saying, 'We'll give you the wedding cake.' And I remember them saying, 'But we don't like this wedding cake, it just looks awful.'" Dozens of other small touches made the entire wedding weekend unique. Charlene's wedding bouquet was made of white flowers, including lily of the valley, and Michelin star chef Alain Ducasse led the stunning dinner service. Famed luxury brand Mont Blanc created a special set of pens for the couple to sign their marriage certificate. As model Naomi Campbell told Vogue, "It was all very elegant and moving. Today is truly wonderful. Charlene looks stunning."
Well, Monaco's Prince Albert has finally tied the knot.
Royal weddings are often events of interest to the public, and it's become standard for the most high-profile affairs to be broadcast for the world to watch. Just months before Princess Charlene and Prince Albert tied the knot, another famous royal couple, Prince William and Kate Middleton, wed in a ceremony watched by over 70 million people around the world. While the exact number of viewers of Charlene and Albert's wedding was never publicized, it was likely a high figure, as the event was broadcast over television as well as the internet. But the wide viewership brought with it speculation over how the couple appeared to behave on their wedding day. Many onlookers reported that the bride seemed unhappy, but others noted that the groom looked upset too. Prince Albert shared with People, "The actual wedding day itself was not it was pleasant, but I was more worried about how things would turn out. That probably shows on the footage." The reports were perhaps intensified by claims that Princess Charlene had tried to run away before the wedding. Still, as Prince Albert later said to CBS News, "Those rumors were completely unfounded, completely untrue, and it was very unfair, and we know the source. And we've been able to deal with that, but it was a very unfair treatment." After their jaw-dropping $70 million wedding extravaganza, Prince Albert and Princess Charlene did what most newlyweds do. They went on a honeymoon. The couple traveled to South Africa and stayed at the Oyster Box Hotel. At the time, suites at this hotel ran guests upwards of $5,600 a night. The couple reportedly stayed in the presidential suite with views of the Indian Ocean. According to one insider, Albert's choice to take his bride on a lavish post-wedding trip may have been inspired by another royal. The source dished to the Daily Mail, "William took Catherine to a very expensive beach resort for their honeymoon following the British royal wedding, so why not Albert and Charlene?"
Well, it's always great to come back to my home.
South Africa was likely chosen as the couple's honeymoon destination because it's Princess Charlene's home. The bride grew up in South Africa, and she represented the country at the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney, Australia. Ahead of becoming royalty in Monaco, Princess Charlene intended to remain committed to her new home country, while still having love for where she was raised. As she told Tatler, "I will never forget my native country, but it is very important for me to balance my love for South Africa with my duty and responsibility to Monaco. First and foremost, I am committed to the people of Monaco." While the royal couple was pleased with the outcome of their wedding weekend, they might have done a couple things differently if they had the chance. Years later, Princess Charlene shared with People, I just remember being exhausted having to do all the planning. I actually left the evening quite early because I could hardly stand on my 2 legs. Charlene also noted that the stress of planning a successful weekend manifested itself during the ceremony. She shared that during the ring exchange, Charlene almost put Albert's ring on the wrong hand, and he had to remind her which hand was correct. The couple has also claimed that they didn't need all the fanfare. Prince Albert told the outlet, "If we could have had the wedding on a beach somewhere with 20 people, we would have been very happy. A private affair. It would have been fine with me, and fine with Charlene too."